Hi, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie, and I talk about all kinds of stuff on this channel, ranging from our couple life, traveling on the road, and to different topics of comedy and also mental health awareness. So if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like the channel, and hit the notification bell so that you can see when new videos come out. Today, my video is going to be on what it's like living with borderline personality disorder and to help raise awareness and basically help others like myself not feel alone in this world. I will go over how BPD affects me in my daily life and hopefully can try to offer some coping strategies that I found that work for me, although I do want to set a disclaimer here that I am undiagnosed borderline, but I know that I have it. I know myself well enough to know what's going on with me now after doing so much research about it. And someone close to me had mentioned that I have these traits or they think that I might have this. And so I started looking into it and it's pretty spot on. I don't have the ability right now to see a therapist, but I do want to try dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, which is something that's really great for borderlines. And it's similar to cognitive behavioral therapy, but it has more of the mindfulness in it. So it's a mixture of the two. But what is borderline personality disorder? So, borderline personality disorder is personality disorder and ranging from emotional irregulation. You're unable to regulate your emotions. And 9 symptoms on the DSM of BPD are fear of abandonment, a series of unstable relationships, unclear or shifting self image, impulsive, self destructive behaviors, self harm, or suicidal behavior, extreme emotional mood swings, chronic feelings of emptiness, explosive anger, and feeling suspicious or out of touch with reality. I have all 9 of those symptoms, and you only have to have 5 to meet the requirements of borderline personality disorder. I want to address also some of the misconceptions that may come with, or stereotypes that may come with someone that has BPD. So, one of the main misconceptions that I see is manipulative behavior and, or that someone with borderline is a crazy person, or that we may be described as a crazy ex girlfriend or the crazy ex boyfriend. Very emotional. And the thing with the manipulation, when it comes to someone that has borderline personality disorder, their moods fluctuate depending on the environment and their self perception and how they feel about themselves is affected by their environment. So, let's say you have your favorite person, and everybody with BPD has a favorite person. Doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be a doctor, it could be a friend, it could be anybody that provides a sense of emotional security for you. So sometimes somebody with borderline personality disorder will manipulate the situation in their favor. And this will look like, give you an example. Let's say my fiance and I decide that we want to go out to eat dinner tonight, right? And he's like, "Oh, I want steak." but he's asking me what I want, and maybe I want pizza. Okay. So these are two different things. I would forfeit what I want and say, I want steak because I know that that's going to make him happy. And therefore, that's going to make me happy because he's happy. And that can be seen as a form of manipulation, but it's a very unconscious thing because what the borderline essentially wants is your validation and your acceptance. So they'll do what they have to do to get that from you. Is it right? No. But from a borderline standpoint, that is what we want is your acceptance and your love. So we will do what we have to do. So that is a big misconception there is that we're manipulative, but it's an unconscious thing and we're not doing it to manipulate you or the situation. We're doing it to appease our fear of abandonment that you're going to leave us. And fear of abandonment is like one of the biggest things with someone with borderline personality disorder. And, but I'll go into that in a little bit. So, next thing is my diagnosis. Again, like I said, I am not formally diagnosed with it, but I am diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety. I got diagnosed with major depressive disorder about 4 years ago, and I started medication 4 years ago. I take Lexapro and Wellbutrin. Those two have been really good for stabilizing my mood, to be honest, keeping my depressive symptoms and my anxiety symptoms at bay. But what I've come to find is that the depression medication is working for those symptoms, but it hasn't been helping with everything else, which led me to dive further into borderline personality disorder because it's only addressing that one part of it. So the kind of symptoms that I have, as I mentioned before, I carry all of the 9 symptoms in the DSM. So, oh, I want to say a few years back, or more than a few years back, like maybe, I don't know, late teens into 20s up until I started actually digging further into what's going on with me, my fear of abandonment was something that really affected me in my relationships because I would go to great lengths to try to make sure that my partner didn't leave me, and I would essentially be pushing them away when I did that, calling, texting, and I mean, back to back. I don't do that anymore. It's taken a lot of practice for me to not do that and a lot of work. And sometimes it's still hard for me to not be that way. And I have to remind myself like don't do that. And again, recovery is not it's not it's all over the place. I mean, with borderline, you are recovering your whole life, I feel. And you can reach a point to where your symptoms aren't as bad and you will have times of relapse. But that's the thing with recoveries. That's how it goes. It's a work in progress. So yes, my fear of abandonment would definitely be a huge symptom for me because again, like I said, I was going through great lengths to try to keep my relationships together. Self-harm. Now, I come from a family of depression, alcoholism, addiction. So my forms of self-harm are not necessarily on the outside. I will numb myself so that I don't feel. And I will harm my body in that way with alcohol or with drugs. And that's how I would use to cope with all of the pain that I was feeling. I'm not much of a drinker anymore. I am a marijuana enthusiast. I've found that that has worked better with me, and I enjoy the recreational aspect of it, and I enjoy the medical benefits of it. And I don't drink as much anymore because I found that alcohol is a depressive for me, and because I come from a long line of alcoholics, and that I'm prone to that substance abuse. So I've always been on the stronger mind though, and haven't let substances get a hold of me that way. Some people of my family have, but that is their own personal journey. I can't say anything about that for them. I have a lot of chronic feelings of emptiness. I just feel like a shell of myself. There's not a lot going on in here. Like I'm not, I don't feel whole. And I think that comes into self-love. I had a lot of self-hatred, and I've been working on loving myself as I am because there's only one of me. There will always be just one of me. And having to practice daily with loving myself and putting myself first. And as a recovering BPD person, putting myself first was not a thing. I've always put others before me. That is another one that I struggle with daily. I have suicide ideation, and I didn't realize that I was having that until I was watching, I guess, some videos on YouTube. And it kind of scared me because I was like, wow, I didn't know. I didn't know that I was like that. And it really drove me to really want to look into what's happening with my mind. So that was a scary one for me. And I still struggle with that till this day. One of my videos, I mentioned that living, wanting to be alive and living was a difficult thing for me. I just, this just constant feeling of this earth would be a lot better if I wasn't around. And that's further from the truth because I know that I light up so many people's lives and so many people would be lost without me. And that's a good feeling. It is. But I digress. So, along with those, I do want to talk about some coping strategies that can help. Of course, one of those is DBT. That is a big thing, dialectical behavior therapy, and it's definitely something I want to try. But in the meantime, I am just looking up videos and reading about DBT and trying to practice DBT that way. It seems to be pushing me in the right direction. But again, like I said, work in progress. Medications are one, but normally medications are just to help with the symptoms that come with BPD. Medication not might not be for everyone, and I was against taking medication for a very long time, but I got to the point where my depression was so bad that I was like, I need help. So that's when I got diagnosed with MDD. BPD could be the reason why I have MDD. But self-care, you know, doing things that make you feel good, doing things that are gonna up your dopamine and your serotonin and make you happy. listening to your favorite music. Maybe cooking is something that you like. Maybe exercising is something that you like. Getting intimate with your partner is something that you might like. And maybe taking a bath and soaking with bath salts. I mean, whatever you feel is going to lift your spirits, that is self care. And it's important also to have support systems, to journal, to talk to people about how you feel because borderlines don't talk to people because they feel like they talk to people too much and people start to get a little irritated, or how we feel like they get irritated with our impending doom all the time. And so having somebody that you can talk to that you know is going to be non-judgmental and that you know will be there for you. So it's an important thing to have a support system. Discovering that I have borderline personality disorder has really helped me understand myself and why I act the way I do, why I am the way I am. And it's kind of weird that like putting a label on it has actually helped my growth. Being resilient, bouncing back from bad situations, that is going to be your main thing. And I think knowing that it's just a moment. Take a breath. It's just a moment and it'll pass. And I know it's hard to see that in that moment. I hate the word resilience because everybody always says you're so strong, you're so resilient, but it's like I've had to be that way in order to survive. It's not something that I'm proud of because of all of the things that I had to go through to pick myself back up. You know, we are always growing, right? And if you're not growing, then you're not living. And if you're stuck in that borderline cycle, you're not living. You're not living for yourself. You're in this contained box and you don't see a way out. And that can be really disheartening for someone. It was for me for a long time. I felt like I was broken. Something was wrong with me. I'm gonna be alone forever. And, nobody's gonna love me how I am. And having a stable, secure relationship can actually really help with that as well. Positive changes for me, I've learned to be a lot more patient with myself and with others. I don't let a lot of things bother me, I let them slide. And I feel like I've come a long way in the last 15 years. Definitely. Even more than that, maybe. And I know it's a work in progress. I know that it could be a lifetime of progress, but I'm willing to try. And I think that's the important thing to take away from this is our journeys are never over, you know? There's always room for improvement. And with someone with who has borderline, we're constantly trying to improve ourselves daily because it's something that we're working on constantly. This is not something that goes away, but it can be managed to where it's no longer a burden for you and others. So Again, disclaimer, I'm not a therapist. I don't have a degree. These are just my personal experiences, and this is for informational purposes only. So, my advice would be you're not alone. Remember that you are a human being. Remember that your emotions, having emotions and being able to feel those emotions is is actually a gift. It's a very rare gift, and you have the capacity to love unconditionally as a BPD person, because you have so much love in you. And so don't forget that about yourself. Don't think that you're a monster. Don't think that you're broken. There's so many stories out there of people going through the same things that we are. And I encourage you to watch videos of those people and their experiences. And but don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to other people on the same journey, because we're all on our own journeys. And we all will heal at our own paces. For people who are in relationships with BPD people, or near, for loved ones of us, try to remember that we are completely aware of what's happening and what we're doing. We're not maliciously doing things to hurt you. And I'm not talking about abuse. If someone is abusing you, then that's something that needs to be discussed and taken care of, because that is very toxic, and that's not okay. Any kind of abuse is not okay. But if you're trying to support someone with borderline personality disorder, just being there for them, just listening to them, acknowledging them, validating their feelings, letting them know that what they feel is valid. Your feelings will always be valid because those are yours to feel. And I didn't know that for a very long time. I always thought that my feelings weren't. And my fiance is somebody who actually helped me understand that my feelings are valid, and he's not here to control them or to, but he's here to support me and be there for me when I'm having them. And that's exactly what I want to relate to you, is just be there for them. Just be there for us, like how we are for you. That's all we want, is validation. I do encourage people to seek help, and professional help. I do have to say that to myself as well. But if you need to search around for a therapist for a long time that is going to suit you, then do so. There's so many out there. I know that sometimes it can be difficult to try to find another therapist or somebody to help you when you've had a bad experience with your first one, and it's just like, no, I'm not going to do this again. But do it, because having a life worth living is so important. And I think people with borderline personality disorder have a hard time with finding reasons to want to live. And so finding your purpose is probably going to be one of the main things, is having a purpose, finding your purpose, finding your voice. So to conclude this video, remember that borderline personality disorder doesn't have to define you. It can put a label on you, but that label can help you move forward in the progress to your healing journey. And remember, there's help out there, and there's always room for growth. So don't give up. And I encourage people with borderline personality disorder to push their stories out there. Talk about it, talk about your experiences. And I think we need more people in the community talking about this because this is a very taboo subject and very stigmatized. And I would love to put an end to that stigma for me and for you. Share your experiences with me, comment down below, and remember I'm here for you. So, you have any questions or you want to talk to me, let me know if there's any topics that you feel that you want me to discuss or get my feelings on. Leave them in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to make a video on them. But don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can see more videos coming out. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for stopping by, and I appreciate your support on this channel. Not all of my videos are going to be doom and gloom. There's a lot of comedy, so if that's your thing, stick around. And also, I will put this in my videos from now on. The crisis hotline, you can call or text 988. 988. Put that in your phone. Remember it. There's always someone to talk to. But again, thank you so much. And I would love to hear some of your stories. I love watching stories. I love documentaries. But I enjoy hearing people's stories and how we can relate to one another in this lonely world that we live in. But remember, you got this. Don't give up. I love you.